Those are sweet glasses.
Thanks, I feel attractive.
Where did you get those?
I got them from the glasses store.
Shut up. Where did, like those are, there's somewhere, but like if they were mirrored, they would look like aviators, but they're not. They've got the big frame thing on the nose. Mm-hmm. Are those spectacles for reading? Where did you, I mean, what are they?
Yeah, they're my spectacles. And for what it's worth, I have a magnetic clip-on aviator lens set that goes right over the top for when it gets a little sunny. Most certainly. I can show you. I mean, I have them. They're right here.
Does Camilla like it?
I don't know if you're ready.
Does
Camilla like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some evidences.
Yeah.
She's maybe a fan a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I need to get some of those.
Maybe you should. They look like the Tony Stark glasses from that Spider-Man movie. Like they're gigantic.
They're cool.
And there's a reason that I got these. It's because I've been working on this project that has me looking at a lot of real fine print from a lot of different books and old books. And then I got to look up and look at a monitor and then back down and back down, up, down, up, down. And I was getting nauseous. I was getting like weird headaches and upset stomach and everything from it. And so Camilla was like, well, maybe just get some glasses that'll help you bounce back and forth between those two focal lengths a little quicker.
Are they transitions or bifocals? What are they?
Okay, I don't know much about glasses. This is all real new to me. Transitions, isn't that the thing where if you walk outside and it gets bright, they turn dark?
Oh, I'm thinking progressives.
Progressive.
Yeah.
That's the word. Yes.
So basically they're bifocals, but the line's not there so you don't feel as old.
Yeah. Oh, no, I still feel as old. I have glasses on, man. It's crazy. But it's really nice. I feel way less headachy at the end of the day.
So Tara and I have this joke that we play on each other now. We say, hey, check out this thing. And like if there's a text message, hey, read this text. We'll then put the phone like really close to the other person's face and they can't see it. And like, whoa, they back up. Like, what's the matter? You can't read that? Oh, well, here, let me just hold it at more than arm's length for you so you can read it.
What is your phone reading length? How far from your face right now?
About that far. I don't know. It looks like
that's how normal people do it. You're fine.
1.5 feet. Yeah. But what I am noticing is I can't see my spaghetti on my fork. That's a problem. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I don't,
all the things.
I didn't realize
I bet you missed that.
That apparently I look at my spaghetti before I put it in my mouth. Like I get the spaghetti and then I bring it up to eat it and I look at it and I'm noticing I'm having to like hold it back just a little bit. I don't know why I look at the spaghetti on my fork. Maybe I'm just trying to analyze like how much slurpage do I need on this particular bite, or like do I need to the noodles falling on this side of the fork, so I need to angle it this way. I don't know what my mind is doing subconsciously, but there is some kind of calculation that it wants to do on spaghetti, and it can't do it right now, and it's quite funny. So I'm like silently making fun of myself every time I eat spaghetti. It's pretty funny.
Was that the first thing you noticed with your vision getting a little tired?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was spaghetti?
It's the dumbest thing. That's what it was. I don't know why, but yeah, that's what it was.
It's always a dumb thing, though. Everybody I know who I have been honest with about saying like, oh, weird, I'm noticing that my vision up close is not as good all of a sudden. Everyone I've told that to has had their own story of the moment they figured it out, if they've figured it out. And then some people are like, no, I think I'm still fine. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have a story eventually. And so for me, I was working with Tina, who edits this podcast.
Yeah.
And we were in my old office and we were filming a video about the Book of Acts. And the office was real small, so we had to take my camera, which was tiny. I just didn't have money for nice equipment or anything. So it was a tiny little Panasonic camera, and I had it backed all the way up against the door of my office. And I could weasel in there and get just behind it to see what was going on in the shot to hit record. And then one time I got in there and I was like, what the heck? Like, I just can't quite pull focus on that screen. And I said something and Tina's like, you're getting old. Except like, Latina accent.
Spicy Latina.
You're getting old. Yeah, just like that. Real spicy. Like, and I'm like, nah, no, I'm not. I'm fine. I must have like a headache or something. Nope. No, it's been that way ever since. That was the day where my vision broke.
So when I do Smarter Every Day, so I'm holding a camera right now. It's the same. You have a GH4. That's what you were using? A Panasonic GH4?
A Panasonic GH4 right there.
Okay, so I use the GH5 is what I use. It's basically the same thing you do, only I think it does 4K. Maybe, I don't know. There's something.
I have one of those right here.
Yeah, that's a GH5. I use it as well. And one of the tricks I do when I'm filming Smarter Every Day is I kind of shoot from the shoulder. So I'm going to look at you in your eyes, and I'm going to visually like have you engaging with me. But I'm filming with my hand down here, and every once in a while, when the person I'm interviewing, like when they steal a glance somewhere else, I'll look down and verify I'm still in focus like that. You see how I did that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that.
So what do you do? Do you put the zebra stripage on there or something to tell you to cheat?
No, did you see what I just did? So if I'm looking, so we're on a Zoom call right now. If I were to try to do that right now, I've got a back button. I hit that back button to focus, and I have a little square on there, and I can move the square around and tell it where to focus. And I'm going to just make really big eyes, and I'm going to shake my head like this so that you keep looking at my eyes and you don't look at what I'm doing in the camera. But if I steal the glance, yeah, that doesn't work. The screen is not in focus because it's too close to my face because of where it is physically. So I have a couple of options. I can like rotate it around like that, and that gives me about 3 or 4 more inches away from my face. Or I can just, and I lean back like this, and then I lean back in.
Really?
Yeah, I'm doing all that stuff. Absolutely.
But nobody's filming you because when you're doing this, it's the one camera shoot.
Correct.
That you do sometimes.
Nobody films me, with the exception of one that there's a video we did recently where we got to do a really cool thing, go into a really neat facility, and George went with me, and he filmed stuff from a really far long shot. But it's an interesting thing the ways you accommodate your eyes and you deal with stuff like that.
Wonder what people did before when there weren't lenses.
Right?
What a bitter pill to swallow that must have been. Oh, I mean, I'm actually working on that right now. I'm working on exactly that question.
What do you mean?
Well, Paul from the Bible. Mm-hmm. For third chair who doesn't know about this guy, I'll quiz you a little bit. Who is the main character of the Bible? Number one biggest name in the Bible?
God.
Sure. Now let's go with biggest human name in the Bible.
Jesus.
Very good. It's always the right answer, church. Just go with that.
Yeah.
Jesus is the biggest name.
Yeah.
Okay, who are the biggest names in the Old Testament? Give me 3 of them.
Moses, Abraham, and there's a lot of options to go for that third biggest one. I happen to think that Daniel is very special, but I think I would have to go with David. Yeah.
I think David is right.
Yeah.
I think those are the 3 big ones from the Old Testament. Okay, after Jesus in the New Testament, who are the 3 big ones?
In the New Testament, people, I would say, I'd probably say Peter, Paul, Mary is probably what I would say.
Okay. Mary doesn't come up that much, but
John.
Huge legacy, great character. So I think Mary, too, even though she isn't on screen all that much yet. John the Baptist would maybe be in the conversation for the 3rd most important character in the New Testament, maybe even 2nd. I don't know. The point is...
That's a great... Hold on. Don't just roll past that. That's a really good question. In fact, the disciples talked about this question. Who will be greatest in your kingdom? They were bickering, and Jesus is like, hey, what are you bickering about? Like, who's going to be greatest in your kingdom? He's like, no, you're not. No. I get the impression like when you're driving the car and the kids are bickering in the back seat and you just kind of do that tornado like, hey, stop it back there, stop. I think Jesus did that, but they were actually bickering about that, which is interesting because it kind of told you they still didn't get it,
Yeah. My dad didn't do the tornado swat.
Oh, yeah?
He'd take these 2 fingers, his forefinger and his thumb, and he would just start pinching.
Really?
Anything. He'd just reach back there and just look for anything to pinch. And sometimes you didn't do anything wrong. Like he's going for my sister, and he'd get me. I'd be like, oh, no, wrong one. Just a minute. Like he would just pinch while he drove. So I like your tornado way better.
Oh, yeah.
Point being, what did Jesus say to them? Do you remember when they were like, who's going to be the greatest?
No, I don't remember exactly what he said. I remember he basically chastised them for talking about that, but what did he say?
He said the least is going to be the greatest. He said it's all upside down. It's all backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can linger on the question for a second. Who's the 2nd most important character in the Bible or in the New Testament? Would you go with John the Baptist?
I think John the Baptist is pretty important, but I would have to say Moses. Oh, wait, you're saying New Testament. New Testament?
Yeah.
Okay. New Testament, Paul did a lot for us. I resonate with Peter quite a bit, but John the Baptist did prepare the way, and he seemed to be very, very special. There was the moment in the garden where other people showed up, right? So who showed up? It was Jesus, and it was Elijah, right?
Oh, you're talking about the transfiguration.
Yes,
no,
I
that's
am.
not in the garden. That's up on the mountain.
That's on the mountain, excuse me. Jesus, Elijah, and who else showed up? Moses. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of questions about John the Baptist and Elijah. There's a lot of really interesting stuff there because, at one point I'm reading and it's like, man, is John the Baptist like Elijah 2.0? And then he says straight up he's not, right?
Yeah, but also symbolically he is if you can accept it. I mean, that's the language of the text. Right?
Okay, I'm sorry. Just explain that to me. Boil it down. Okay, so Elijah was a prophet in the Old Testament, okay?
Yeah, during the age of the kings. Very dramatic time with big, colorful characters.
And he was followed up by Elisha, S-H.
Yeah.
And the way I remember that is Jah has a J, which is one letter, and Shah has two letters. So he's like 1.0 and 2.0. That's how I remember that.
Okay.
And Elisha asked for a double helping of his blessing, right?
You clever man. Yeah, that's a good one. I put out a call on Twitter this week for everybody's best Bible tricks, like to remember things and make it all stick. And nobody came up with that one. That's a good one. Everybody has them. Whatever anybody is into, even if somebody's never read the Bible or whatever, everybody's into something. And there's always something that's just hard to remember, and you've got a trick. I came up with an acrostic to remember the names of
I got kicked in the acrostic one time.
Oh, dude, that'll get you.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
I don't remember what I was saying. I'm still thinking about your acrostics.
I'm sorry.
I'm so worried about you. Oh, for all the brooks from north to south that go into the Jordan River and the Dead Sea.
Okay.
Everybody has little gimmicks like this to remember. It doesn't matter what they are.
I don't.
So you have one of those. That's good.
You're wrong. Everybody does not have gimmicks to remember that. I don't know that.
Well, not that, but to remember something that is right on the edge of memory, but you're never going to lock it down unless you come up with a trick or whatever. So we had Dr. Iga on a while back, and he had little math tricks. Everybody has tricks to remember the stuff that they're into. That's my point. I just thought that was cool that you have one. So yeah, Elijah and Elisha, they were really prominent prophets, and there was a horrible series of kings in the northern kingdom of Israel. So the first three kings in the Old Testament are Saul, David, and Solomon, and they all govern all the Israelites, all 12 tribes. They're all in one kingdom. But Solomon, even though he was very wise, he was also an idiot. And after him, they couldn't keep the kingdom together. So 10 of the tribes go north and form the kingdom of Israel. 2 of the tribes stay south, Judah and Benjamin, and form the southern kingdom. And eventually, Judah, being the name of the southern kingdom, is what lends its name to the people group, the Jews, Judah, Jews. So that's how that all eventually fits together.
Do you know how I remember Israel was in the north and Judah was in the south?
Do you just know it?
No, I don't just know it. I have to remember a trick.
Okay, what's your trick?
Alphabetical order, Hijklm. So I comes before J, which means I is over J. Israel is over Judah. Israel's in the north, Judah's in the south.
Do you know how I remember which one comes first, going from west to east, the Tigris or the Euphrates?
No.
Because it spells E-T, like the extraterrestrial, if you go from west to east. Read it like a book.
It's Euphrates and then Tigris?
Uh-huh.
Did they run north and south?
Euphrates and then Tigris? Yeah, more or less.
Really? But that's over in Persia, right?
Yeah, totally works.
That's further to the
Babylon.
east. Babylon.
Modern-day Iraq.
Modern-day Iraq.
Persia's modern-day Iran. Babylon's modern-day Iraq.
And here we go.
Yeah.
We're having a whole other conversation about something we didn't plan on. Let me just back up. I was going to tell you we were going to have a conversation.
Wait, don't do it just yet.
Okay.
Don't do it just yet.
No, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to give us permission to stay here.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So what I was going to do is I was going to say I was going to talk about something else, but I want to talk about this more because this is interesting, and we'll just postpone my thing again. It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting.
Okay.
It was.
Is it aliens again? Is it aliens?
It's aliens. Yeah.
Are we just going to keep saying aliens is the episode that we never ever do, and anytime something goes wrong and we talk about something else, it was aliens?
No, we are going to talk about that. But I just want to just say what's been happening. You've been writing a book, and you just finished like 20 minutes ago.
It's quite the feeling, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the shoulders are looser and lighter.
And I
hit print, and it's right over there. I can see it.
And it's like a modern day take on Harry Potter and how it plays into transgenderism and police brutality. Is that what it is?
And gun control. Yeah, that's exactly it. And how they all affect climate change.
Yes.
So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which then is like the number of abortions is what sets the tariff rate.
Yeah.
And so I tried to make that connection for people so they could understand what's going on in the world. I think it's going to be great.
I think it'd be good. People love it.
A real hit.
You won't get any comments on that book. What are you actually?
No.
What are you actually writing about?
It's about the Bible
I know that was a
again, man.
softball question, so it's about the Bible, but
Yeah, of course it is. I really like it. I know that people who aren't into any of that kind of stuff, the stuff that I'm into, are going to be like, well, of course you like it. You're religious. But kind of I'm religious because I like it too. It's very, very compelling. And what I just got done with, the last book of the Bible is Revelation, right? Everybody thinks of Revelation as it's an apocalypse. And it literally, the second Greek word of the book of Revelation is apocalypse. But it's translated revelation because apocalypse, it doesn't really mean a giant world-ending calamity. Apocalypse means like an unveiling, like a pulling back the curtain on things. So this last book of the Bible that everybody debates and argues about, and people treat it kind of like they treat Nostradamus's prophecies and stuff. It's actually the summary of all of the story of the Bible, all the theology of the Bible, all the loose ends that hang out there. I've been going through that the last couple of days, trying to put the finishing touches on that chapter. I'm just blown away at how good a job the Bible does at paying off every character arc and loose end that needs to be paid off. It's like there are all these threads hanging out there from the other 65 books of the Bible, and you get to Revelation, and that book grabs them all and weaves them all together in this beautiful thing and pays it all off, and you get to the end, and then there's infinite symmetry to the whole story of all of existence from before time as we know it to the end of time as we know it. And it's just an absolutely lovely book, and it continues to keep my attention. I've read it a bajillion times, and I'm still into it.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you say you've read it a bajillion times, because I read it all the way through last year. I'm reading it all the way through again this year, and I'm in Jeremiah this time. And Jeremiah has hit me fresh. Like, I actually understand things about the context of where Jeremiah is and what's going on in a different way than what I did. And I'm learning things. And it's weird because you're like, oh, yeah, I read that. You think about that. Oh, yeah, I read that. I don't have to read it again. But when I'm reading it again, I have a better understanding of the context of everything. And it's hitting me fresh. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to a friend this week. He's not down with the whole church thing or Christianity and stuff like that. But we love to have conversations. And one of the things that he said was like, man, the Bible's so old. We just need to have like a Bible 2.0 written where it's like it makes sense for the modern audience because it doesn't make sense to a modern person. What would you say to a person that says something like that? That the Bible is old, it's a set of rules, we need to it's almost like it's a myth that was written a long time ago and we need to readdress it in modern society. What would you say to someone like that?
Well, they're right about almost all of that. The starting point of that conversation is good job knowing things about the Bible. You're right. There are a lot of rules in the Bible. You're right. It is very old. You're right. There is language that at least tiptoes right up to the edge of what we think of as mythological or is actually telling a story that actually happened, but it has mythological weight to it because it's so old. I think all those things are actually a pretty good read on a big portion of what the Bible is. My gentle pushback on that would be there's just a ton more to it as well. I guess this is what I was just driving at a minute ago, but the cohesiveness of the story is mind-blowing given how old it is. I mean, that thing covers 1,500 years. If you go with the most conservative dating estimates, that the people who really like the Bible and really think, all right, it's probably this old. I mean, it's 1,500 years. It's written in 3 different languages, 2 main ones, but one, that crops up from time to time called Aramaic. It's written from the ages of different empires and different cultures. It spans the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, whatever's before that. It gets into the classical age, Greeks, Romans, Alexander, all of ancient history. The Bible's just consistently happening in the background of it. And then you read through the whole thing carefully, and you start catching those little details like you're catching as you're going through Jeremiah, and you realize there is something really unique about this. It would be very difficult to coordinate all of this if, say, we did try to write a Bible 2.0 and do it again. One of the big problems with writing a Bible 2.0 is I just don't have 1,500 years to get that done. It's like, Cal Ripken. You like Cal Ripken. He's your favorite ball player, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And his most famous record is, of course...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted the number. I don't know the number, but the number of games that he played, I want to say it's like 3,180 or something. Dadgummit. What's the actual number?
I have no idea what the actual number is, but his record is that he always played.
2,632.
Good heavens.
Yeah.
162 games a year. So that's like what? 17 straight years of never getting hurt, never taking a day off. Unreal.
It's a lot.
I was watching a sports broadcast, I think it was in Montana, when that record ended. And they did the banter thing after the record. I think I've told you this before. They did the banter thing, before they go to commercial after Cal Ripken sat out a day and ended the streak. And there was a young lady there right out of college. She doesn't know anything about sports. She was doing a nice job on all of her other stuff. No hard feelings. But, the guy clicks his papers and says, well, Jim, Kathy, that is one record I can sincerely say we will never see broken. And she said, you never know. Tomorrow, somebody might crop up and just break it. And the guys were like, well...
Probably not.
No, because of what the record is, the nature of it. And she just doubled down and tripled down, and they just couldn't get her to understand. And poor girl, whatever. The Bible's kind of the same thing. The reason we can't write a Bible 2.0 that has the gravity and weight of the first one is because of the sheer amount of time that has to pass and the passing the test of time that has to happen in order for anything to be what that is. It really is special among all books in that regard.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was interesting this time going through Jeremiah is I'm reading in there where the army of Egypt, Pharaoh's army, is retreating from Jerusalem in advance of Babylon coming in. It was Babylon that was coming in, right? And I was like, wait a second. Why was Egypt fighting with Israel? That's new to me. Like, I've been trying to learn about history. You had me read Persian Fire. I read some other stuff after that. So I'm like trying to understand what happened in terms of, Syria, Persia, Babylon, all that kind of stuff. And so I started looking it up. I started looking up the archaeological stuff. Turns out there was a huge coalition of governments that were trying to fight against Babylon as it came.
Yeah.
For example, the city of Tyre, which is on an island, I think, the Phoenician city of Tyre, was actually supplied by ships from Egypt.
Yes.
As it was being defeated. And I'm like, whoa! So Pharaoh understood that, or whoever the Pharaoh was at the time, understood that it's not...
Necho, I think.
Was it
Necho?
Necho, N-E-C-O? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. It was like he was trying to prevent the onslaught from the Babylonians coming down. And then Jeremiah's right there in the middle of it. He's there at the destruction of Israel. And it was Israel, right?
Judah,
forgive me.
Israel, the northern kingdom, was defeated in 722 by the Assyrians. You're talking about 586 and the Babylonians.
So basically, you get a front row seat to the destruction of that city.
Yeah.
And then there's even this moment where they're like, hey, Jeremiah, where are you going? Are you going to go with us? One of the most fascinating things that happened in the book that I've read it multiple times. I've just never, maybe I never cared, or never saw it, or just didn't get it. But he gets thrown down a cistern.
Yes.
So Jeremiah he just keeps saying the thing. He says the truth, and nobody believes him. Like, nobody ever listens to him. In fact, in some cases, they're like, okay, tell me the truth in secret, and we'll see what I do with the information. And he does, and then bad things happen to him. But anyway, they throw him down in the cistern, and one of the most interesting things that happen is he's down at the bottom of this, I imagine it to be a cold, cylindrical well with water in the bottom. That's what I imagine it to be. I don't know if that's what it is. He's down there, and there was an Ethiopian in the court of the king that says, hey, word on the street is you guys threw Jeremiah down the cistern. We got to go get him. And so this eunuch leads this group of people and goes and pulls Jeremiah out of the well. It's just fascinating. So my point is, Jeremiah came alive for me for the first time in a way that it never has before. And it's the book of Jeremiah. You never like think about, oh, let's listen to the story about the book of Jeremiah. But for me, it's like popping off the page.
Why don't you think of Jeremiah as a story?
It's not as interesting as like Daniel in the lion's den or David and Goliath or all these other Bible stories, air quotes, all these other Bible stories that you think of when you think of these neat things that happen. You don't think of Jeremiah, a person who was faithful and just said the thing that needed to be said to the people that needed to be told in the moment at risk of his own life. I don't know, it's fascinating.
And that's the same thing I find every time I read the Bible. I just keep going through it again and again. And there's stories I forgot, even though I went to school for this. There's drama and details and connections that I didn't catch before. And the connections matter. With Jeremiah, there's a whole bunch of stories in that book, and you just kind of forget. And also, to your friend who was like, hey, we could use a Bible 2.0. Like, I get that impulse, but also, man, I would miss the first one because the first one gives us a front row seat, even if you don't think there's a God, to some of the most important things that ever happened, ever. Like Jeremiah. Jeremiah's got a front row seat to this complete calamity, the end of a civilization, the end of a culture, the end of a 500-year-old temple that gets destroyed brick by brick. And who does it? Nebuchadnezzar. That's one of the most famous names of anybody who's ever ruled anything ever. And the Bible has you right there on the losing side. The sympathetic side is the losing side. And it's not like some little thing that's engraved on a piece of rock. It's a huge book. Jeremiah is the longest book in the Bible. And it's all about this prophet, this guy who saw coming from a mile away, we are going to get slaughtered. We're going to lose specifically to Babylon. It's going to be that nation that defeats us. Here's when it's going to happen, and here's what it's going to look like for us after we get defeated. He knows it's coming. He tells everybody it's coming. They shove him in a well to get him to drown in mud at the bottom of it because he tells them that. And then he has to watch it all happen in slow motion after being ignored by all the people he tried to warn. His own home gets destroyed. His own city gets destroyed. I mean, that's rich, vivid, 3D in-color storytelling from a long time ago.
But the interesting thing about how he did that, first of all, I didn't realize Jeremiah was the longest book of the Bible. Like by words, it's the longest book?
Yep, by original language word count. That barely beats out Genesis.
Maybe that's interesting because it doesn't feel long to me this time reading it through because I like it.
Isn't it always just that simple?
Yeah, like there's this moment where there's a siege and they're like, okay, obviously we're about to get nuked. None of our land matters. None of our homes matter, anything. And Jeremiah's like, you know what? It does matter. I've got a word from the Lord. I'm going to buy a piece of land in the presence of the elders. And he writes out a deed. And this is the magical thing. They put that deed in an earthenware jar. And it says straight up, so that it may last a long time. And I imagine like, oh, when we found the Dead Sea Scrolls in these jars of clay, it was like, oh, well, they had these things preserved. They knew back then that if you wrote on papyrus or whatever it was, and you put it in an earthenware jar and seal it, they knew that would make it last a long time. And so Jeremiah calls a shot, and he's like, no, it is going to turn around. Eventually, there will be land bought and sold here in this city, In fact, I'm going to buy this land right now, and I'm going to write the deed down, and you guys are going to watch it because it's, I was like, man, that's neat. That's really, really cool.
That same exact thing, and I don't know if it was on purpose or people knew what they were doing, but that same thing happened during the Punic Wars about 400 years.
Is that Greece
after the events
versus who?
That is Rome versus Carthage.
Rome versus Carthage. That's the Punic Wars. Okay, and so this is Hannibal, that
Rome
kind of stuff?
versus Hannibal. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And when Hannibal was at his apex and he had the city of Rome surrounded and the Carthaginian army is camped on land outside the ancient walls of Rome, one of the evidences that they knew that the Roman people rather knew that Rome was impenetrable and they were going to win and not have a problem with this siege is that they were still buying and selling property underneath the encamped Carthaginians outside the walls.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to work out. It's the same vibe as Jeremiah. I like that.
Oh, that's amazing. So the market tells the truth.
How about that?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my request now, and then I'm going to say one other thing. I would like to request a dedicated episode to Carthage. I would like for you to explain that to me at a future time. Can you do that, please?
Yes, that would be fun. I will try to know more about it than I know off the top of my head right now.
Okay, sounds good. So, all this to say, Bible's interesting, neat. I'm learning things from it. You have been working on a book. All this was not a setup for the book. I just think it's relevant to this discussion. Also, you just finished writing it 20 minutes ago, which is why we're thinking about it. What is the book? Like, are you allowed to talk about it yet?
I think so. I don't know. I guess I haven't asked. It's kind of an overview of the Bible in normal language that is meant to make sense for people who think that there's a God behind the Bible, and also for people who don't, but would like to understand what all of the Bible is and how it all fits together.
So my friend who said, I don't get it, the Bible's old and archaic, this would actually be valuable to them?
It is for your friend.
Okay.
It is for exactly your friend. And it's for people like me who grew up around it and then had the whole equation break at some point. I'm grateful for my upbringing, but I had to figure this thing out for myself. I went through a pretty difficult time of not being a Christian. I never really told anybody, so I don't know if it counts.
You made a whole video about it.
It was difficult.
Oh, you're saying you did?
No, I mean, I didn't tell anybody when it was going on, man. Yeah. Yeah, I made a video about it. I told people later when it was safe and there were no consequences. What does that say?
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to checking the book out. I don't know what it's like to write a book. I'm writing a paper right now. I found that I'm not really good at it. I'm not good at technical writing.
You keep sending me your stuff. It looks pretty dang good to me.
It looks neat, but that doesn't mean I'm efficient at it or good at it.
Man, that's not fun writing, though. And if you make it fun, your advisors in a PhD program will slap your hand. They'll come back and be like, hey, this isn't fun. Stop. Make it unfun. But here's part of why they're going to do that, man. Can I talk about your last video a little bit?
Oh, sure.
In your last video, which was unbelievably long, by the way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But also incredibly good. It's like you and Jeremiah. I didn't notice the time going by. It's a great video. In that video, about the time that I got to a place as a viewer where I'm going, someone else has to have thought about these questions. You look into the camera and say, now, somebody else has to have thought of these questions. I'm like, oh, great, good. We're right on the same page. That's great. And you start pulling out printed sheets of paper from these old studies and these old academic papers that were done. And everybody who wrote those papers had names that did not sound like your name.
What does that mean? I don't know.
They were people from other parts of the world, or at least that's the way their names sounded. You pulled the papers out. And you showed the viewers what their research did, what they figured out, how it all worked, and it made sense to you, and it made sense to me. Now, if those people had cracked a bunch of dumb inside jokes from their home country in Asia, I wouldn't know when they were joking. It wouldn't be helpful communication. I just need you to tell me what it is so that it can kind of transcend language and make the physical facts of this phenomenon you're studying something that other people can build upon. So I understand why your advisors are going to slap your hand and try to strip your personality from the writing that you're working on right now, because they want your contribution to be robust, and they want other people from other cultures and other times in the future to be able to benefit from your research and understand it.
So an academic paper on the scientific side is one thing, or like the engineering / science, I don't know how you want to describe it, but like numbers and values and scientific constants, that sort of thing. That's one thing to write so that it transcends language. But in the humanities, it's a little more difficult. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and we were at a soccer game, and we were talking about Dietrich Bonhoeffer as we were watching the game. And I had read the Metaxas book, and he read the Metaxas book and some of the other books. And he said, there's a book that Bonhoeffer wrote, and he told me the name of the book. He's like, it's really good. You should write it. But it's like, he wrote in German, and then when they translate it, it's just kind of clunky.
Is this book The Cost of Discipleship?
No, I think it's Life Together, I think is what it was called.
Okay.
I haven't read it. I don't know. Very interesting to think that you can have deep thoughts on the humanities side, but they don't translate well depending on what language you're going to and from.
Yeah, and there's technical writing in the humanities as well. And again, at the PhD level, that's what you get pushed toward at the academic level. I mean, you're trying to contribute to this professional body of knowledge for the benefit of the whole. So everybody can use your stuff. And so there's a certain language that you speak. There are certain dance steps that you use when you write history papers, for example. You start with the most boring material at the front end. It's called a historiography, and it's miserable. No one wants to read that, but it's very important if you're doing technical history for the benefit of the discipline as a whole.
Cool. Well, what you're doing with the book, it's not the Bible 2.0. I recommend not calling it that.
Okay, we have a title. I'm not going to call it that.
But long story short, you're going to go through the Bible book by book, and you're going to explain it to people that want to know whether or not they believe or not.
Yeah, in a playful, conversational way that is pretty rooted in general culture that anybody with any familiarity with English is going to get. I'm not trying to write an academic book here. I'm trying to take academic things and a whole bunch of really complicated stuff about the Bible that very smart people have found and identified and spell out through centuries of research. I'm trying to take all of that and say it super succinctly and in very normal language with a little bit of humor, as though the entire goal is just make it make sense as soon as possible, or as quickly as possible, and then you do with it whatever you will as a reader.
One thing that is additionally interesting to me is the fact that you just finished it. We're going to get it to do a time hack. I can click my stopwatch, and we can figure out from the moment you finish the first rough draft, how long does it take to actually go out and be on a bookshelf? I'm interested to know the answer to that. So here we are sitting in April. I'm curious to see how this works.
What's your guess?
Year and a half. That's my guess. Am I wrong?
My guess is 52 weeks to the day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
That's my guess.
Okay. To the day. Okay. All right. We'll see.
I guess we'll see. I was really wanting to land the plane on the glasses thing. Is there a way? Hang on a sec. Writing books and papers is interesting. The Bible's interesting, but kind of want to come back to something really important that I feel like you sort of blew off.
Okay.
And that is, do you want to see my magnetic aviator clip-ons?
I do. Yes, I do. Please do.
Behold.
That's too much, Whitman. That's too much. That's too much. I think
cool.
it's a little much.
You can hear them go on. Listen. Did you hear it?
It's cool. I'm not going to lie. It's cool.
I feel cool.
I don't know.
I don't really use these because I'm never going to use these outside. These are desk glasses only. But I am properly humbled.
How much did they cost?
A lot. My goodness. Have you ever bought glasses?
I have. I used to wear them a lot. So like $100?
What? No, that was like $800, man.
What?
Yes, I don't have any kind of insurance for glasses. I don't need glasses, or I didn't until like a month ago.
$800?
So I don't know. Do you just carry insurance in case you need glasses someday for your whole life? No. I think you just pay for those first ones out of pocket. And wow.
I did the laser eye surgery when I was in my 20s, and that remains the single best investment I've ever made.
Right,
Yeah.
but I can't do that for what's wrong with my eyes. There's no surgery for it.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of eyes, in Jeremiah, the king, when he came in and like took over, when Nebuchadnezzar took over, he killed the king's, he was attacking this other king, right? He killed his sons in front of him and then plucked out his eyes.
The last thing you'll see, my goodness, the last
That's the
thing you'll
worst.
see is the end of your line. That's so vindictive.
Like, why? That's so mean.
Dude, ancient
Why?
history, man. I don't know. It's brutal. There's no laser eye surgery for that. Once they're plucked out, I think they're just done. But I hope it doesn't get worse, man. I really like seeing things. But it has worked. I don't get the headaches now when I sit and write and work on stuff. And when I play tennis after a day of writing, my eyes aren't all tired. I track the ball way better if I wear the glasses while I'm writing stuff.
You wear those glasses? Wait, you don't wear those when you play tennis, do you?
No. No, I just wear. My eyes don't get tired.
You better have some Horace Grants for that. Do you have Horace Grant glasses?
Oh man, some Kurt Rambuses. Do you know who Kurt
I don't know
Rambus
what those
is?
are.
He played for the
No, no,
Lakers.
no.
He had the big rec spec goggle things too. But what I was saying is, you got the LASIK thing, and that was a laser that changed the shape of your lens or something like that. Is that right?
Kinda, yeah.
So what's wrong with me and what's becoming wrong with you is, I guess, a muscle issue. That's the way they explained it to me. There's a muscle in my eyes that gets tired, and that's the muscle that makes the focus happen and that zips the focal length back and forth. And if it gets fatigued, even over the course of a few days, then all of a sudden it gets really hard to say, look at your phone and then look at a distant television and come back to your phone. Your eyes aren't grabbing that focal length back and forth as well. I mean, you can't cut anything for that. It's just a tired old muscle that doesn't perform as well as it did when you were younger. I guess some people are getting like, what do you call it, dude? When you take cells, you spin them up.
Stem cells?
Stem cell, yeah. People are getting some kind of stem cell treatment in like Mexico or some other country for weird stuff with their eyes. I'm like, yeah, that's my eyes. I'm not doing that. Too big a risk.
Wow.
So instead, I just wear these Tony Stark glasses and get made fun of by my best friend.
Well, you look cool. I think it's cool.
Okay, I'll take it. But not when I do this.
What do glasses have to do with the Bible?
Oh, I got distracted. Yeah, that's why I was asking about all the different famous people in the New Testament. Because Paul, that's what I was going to say, is that a lot of people think Paul was somebody who loved letters and writing and reading scrolls and the Bible and the written word. And then a lot of people think that the cruel joke of his life, or even the, quote, thorn in his side that he felt that he struggled with, was that he lost his vision. His eyes went bad over time. That's what I was driving at.
So in the interest of doing our little update section where we update people on different things that's happened, I have a very interesting update.
All right.
Do you remember the vending machine?
Vividly. Oh, you don't mean update. You mean follow up on the previous conversations.
Yeah, but I guess it's kind of like an update.
Okay. All right. Let's call it an update.
Yeah.
What did
you? Maybe it's a follow up.
Okay. So you won a, what was it? A camouflage Mountain Dew 20-ounce bottle vending machine at a charity auction. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
It
like-
was a Ducks Unlimited Mountain Dew machine.
Okay.
It now is physically set up at a location that people can go to if you find the need to buy a cold drink in Huntsville, Alabama. You can do that.
You just made it a vending machine that vends beverages. It just does what its stated purpose is.
Well, it's more than that. My son is actually running it. So my son is buying drinks and he is using it to sell drinks.
Really?
I'm just using it as a thing for him to do, or I offered it to him. I said, hey, would you be interested in using this as a business opportunity? And he said 1,000%. Turns out it's very, very difficult to find a location that will allow you to set up a vending machine.
Why? Why do people not want to do it?
I don't know. It was just a very difficult thing to come about. And I actually received some correspondence after we published that of a guy that listens to the podcast, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I got a place you can set it up. Maybe if my father-in-law is cool with it." And so in Huntsville, Alabama, on South Parkway, there's a place called A1 Appliance. It's right next to Guadalajara Grill. And if you want to go take a selfie with the vending machine, you can. Yeah. And that's really all there is to it. Like, we have I'm not going to say a pilgrimage spot, but that's like the only place in the physical world where you can kind of like your Venn diagram can cross with No Dumb Questions, if that is of interest to you. What I've really been teaching him is I was like, hey, the dudes that run the store, they're allowing you to keep the machine there. So you got to keep them happy. What I'm really doing is I'm working with my son on soft skills. He's done things like, he goes in, he loads the whole machine, and he's trying to learn the favorite drinks of the people that work there. And he's like, every once in a while, he'll slide him a drink. Like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, got you a Mountain Dew. So he knows what they like. The real thing here is my son learning soft skills. And at the same time, he's doing a long-term thing that he has to work on. He still hasn't made his money back from the initial investment to fill the machine, but it's fun to watch him do it.
That is cool on two levels. The fact that your son is building something, and especially learning those soft skills, because I think if vending machines were as simple as everybody buys one and then you question mark profit, everyone would do it. But you're right. What's the big hurdle? It's getting the locations where there's traffic and you have favorable treatment from the people who own that property. So thanks to the generosity of somebody who listens, you got that nailed down.
A1 Appliance.
A1 Appliance, thank you.
A1 Appliance, yep.
A1 Appliance in Huntsville proper.
It's South Parkway location. They have multiple, but it's the South Parkway location.
Yeah. So learning the soft skills, that's big. But the pilgrimage site, I hadn't thought about that. I need to come up with something in Rapid City, something that corresponds, and I don't have anything yet.
Well, I would recommend if you do go to A1 Appliance, they have these really nice Nebo flashlights. You should consider purchasing one to make it worth their time. They're really nice flashlights, so you should consider that. But when we went about it, the cool thing is it's an appliance place, so they have the ability to move the vending machine if we ever need to, which is very kind. But they said something like, hey, here's the deal. You can put it here. We can't guarantee there's a lot of traffic in here. It's just a lot of people come getting parts and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but it'd be fun, though. I think it'd be really fun to give them some business for as long as it makes sense for it to be there. I think it's a fun little thing.
Okay. Well, you let me know when you come up with what the pilgrimage site that corresponds to that should be here, and it can't be a vending machine. Unless I win one at a charity auction, in which case...
That sounds great.
That's pretty derivative. Okay, buddy. I'm over here on Reddit. I am in the public subreddit. We have two of them. One is r/No Dumb Questions. Only you and I can post there. And so each entry is just a discussion about that episode. I think at this point, that subreddit might be the third ranked place where people discuss the episodes. I think number one is obviously Patreon. There's a lot going on there. And then number two,
a lot of people talking there.
There were a bunch of comments on the last episode on Spotify. I just discovered that. Did you even know that you could talk about podcasts on Spotify?
I knew you could. I didn't know people were doing it. People are actually commenting there?
Apparently people are actually commenting there. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
That's interesting.
Going to the episode. Where do you look at the comments? How does this work?
I clicked on the episode and then expanded it, and it's there kind of at the bottom of the show notes. There's a little expandable link thing. Oh, yeah, got me. Then there's another subreddit called r/NDQ, and that's where anybody can post a conversation topic. And over there, people wanted to weigh in on a less pretentious book club name for you.
Oh, okay.
They agreed with me that the big brain, ultra generous book knowers, knowledge holders of absolute knowledge of things club was too much. I don't know if that was
Yeah,
exactly
I think so. So just any combination of words or letters would be a less pretentious name, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've got Bookie McBook Club face. I should have seen that coming. That if you ask for a name suggestion on the internet, you should get that.
Okay.
The Defenestrators Confluence.
Defenestrators, that means to be thrown out of a window, right?
Defenestrators. I see it now. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
If only I had glasses, I would have been able to make that out more quickly. Well, he said a less arrogant, less pretentious name, so I'm thinking the smartest people in the world book club. Okay, they're all in on the joke. They seem to be doing pretty well here. Okay, all right. I don't know that you're going to find your answer here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people saying the same thing on Patreon. I actually shot a text to the guys and said, hey, I told everybody about the book club, and they all made fun of us, as they should. And one of the guys in the club had a really, really good idea. Basically, he was playing off the book being Van Gogh Has a Broken Heart, and he was talking about how the Mona Lisa was stolen and all that good stuff. And he said, what about the art thieves? And I thought that was pretty neat. I thought that was pretty solid.
It's not just solid, it's obviously the right answer, correct?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We haven't decided yet, but I think it's definitely got to be the front runner. That's pretty good.
Front runner compared to what?
I don't know.
Well, if you say it's the front runner, that means there's something else out there that is competing with it. What is it?
There's not a good competitor yet. There's not anything even
Why
close
are you
to
waiting
that.
for a competitor? You have the name The Art Thieves sitting right in front of you. Take it.
Because it's not my group. I'm not in charge of the group, and I can't
goodness,
decide things by decree. So
okay.
Would be cool to say, like, hey, I got to go meet with the art thieves, though. That's
just
pretty cool.
Subvert things. You have the social skill set needed to subversively move the conversation to where it needs to end up. The art thieves. That's rad.
Sounds cool. It's really
all right.
cool.
Over here on the subreddit discussing the episode, I discovered that what we're doing right now is the best and refreshing and also a terrible departure from what we normally do.
Are you talking about on the subreddit?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about those comments. Let's go to Patreon. People.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's go look at Patreon. So on Patreon, people are talking about their favorite work of art, which is pretty interesting. Eric says that he's going to go cliche and say Starry Night.
Okay.
Which I think is a neat painting. It's really, really good.
Hard to argue. Yeah.
Now, Grant says something that I actually had thought about. A Sunday Afternoon in the Park by Seurat.
Oh, that's the pointillism, right?
Pointillism. Exactly. And I think it's really, really neat.
The cast of the NBC's The American Office did a promotional shoot where they struck the pose of that particular painting.
Oh, really?
So I thought that was charming as well. Yeah.
There's another person here that said they like a painting called The Execution of Lady Jane Grey, which is, I just looked it up. It's at the National Gallery. It's a haunting painting, man. It is a painting of a lady that's blindfolded and she's being walked to the chopping block and there's an executioner to the side. It's kind of wild.
Did they say why they like it?
Said, I didn't really want to go to an art gallery, but when I walked around the corner and saw this, it stopped me in my tracks. The colors, the details, the framing, everything about this is astonishing and mesmerizing for me. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Someone replied in the comments to that and said, wow, I saw this as a young child and completely forgot about it until now. It terrified me to see a beautiful young woman about to be killed. Thanks for reminding me of it. So I guess it's art's doing what art's going to do, man. It makes you feel things, and James felt things when he saw this. And so, yeah, just a really good discussion going on Patreon. Thank you to everybody that supports at patreon.com/nodumbquestions. We're grateful. It's a really big deal. It's important to us.
Yeah, it's how we make this thing go at this point. And before we wrap this up, I really like your point about, okay, maybe it's not a happy thing, that particular painting, but it's memorable. And I am finding that to be something I appreciate more and more. I don't necessarily need to love the subject matter of something I consider to be great art, but I want it to be something I haven't seen. I want it to be something that tells the truth, if you will. And there's so much art that I see right now that's coming out, TV shows, movies, popular art. It doesn't tell the truth. You're lying to me. I can tell you're lying. You're doing something where you put your finger to the algorithmic wind. You're chasing after whatever's popular in the moment, but you're not telling the truth. You're not really saying the thing you want to say. You're not really making the observation you want to make. And so it feels false. And I feel like taking it as seriously as they're taking it. You're not telling me the truth. I'm not going to give it the time of day. What's riveting to me right now is stuff that feels dangerous, feels really honest. Like, wow, that's really how you perceived that moment. That's really how that conversation went in your mind, or that's really what you think, and what you think is shocking to look at, but you still told the truth about it. That kind of stuff I like, and I guess that painting falls into that category.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of No Dumb Questions. We enjoyed talking about, what did we talk about today? The Bible, Jeremiah, and your glasses. That's what we talked about today.
And writing books.
Oh, yeah. That too. Yeah, you wrote a book.
I thought that was
That's good.
Kind of important too.
That you can't get. So, yeah, do you want to do the sign off?
We don't normally do these. Bye.